people saying, don't move here, we're overcrowded.
Yeah, did it deter you at all?
That's the Florida that I was expecting. If you are a blue collar worker, I think the transition would be mind blowing. I'd almost tell you to stay in Boston, stay up north.
Today you'll hear a conversation between me and Nancy Sanchez, known to thousands as Mothering in Chaos, wife and mom of 6. You're gonna hear her talk about why she considered Central Florida and more specifically chose to live in Lake Nona, what surprised her the most about living in Lake Nona, the negatives of the city, and really much more. This is an all-encompassing conversation. If you find yourself in her in some way or you're considering a move to Lake Nona, this hopefully will be a very fruitful conversation for you. So without further ado, let's get straight into the video. Nancy, thank you so much for taking the time.
Absolutely.
I really am looking forward to this conversation. So why don't you give the folks at home a little bit about yourself and kind of how you came to Orlando?
Sure. So I am Nancy. I came to Orlando from Boston post-COVID. It's been about a year and 3 months that we've been here.
Yeah.
And we came, honestly, because I was done with the cold and I wanted my kids to have more outdoor time.
Yeah.
So we're here in the Lake Nona area.
Nice. Okay, so Lake Nona. Why Lake Nona of all places?
So I didn't know anything about Lake Nona. It all came to be because I started doing school research. I actually found the schools first. So I went in and I was looking for A-rated schools. I looked at special ed departments. I have 2 neurodiverse children. So I wanted to make sure that they would be able to be successful academically. And once we found the schools, we decided to go to SeaWorld. And I was like, well, we're like 45 minutes away or so. And we drove from SeaWorld to the Lake Nona area. And I had the kids get out, walk around and see how they felt, particularly in Laureate Park. And they liked what they saw.
Did you try any other areas? Because I feel like when you reached out, I think you sent me a home in Eagle Creek.
So
was it? Yeah,
we did. We did. So essentially it was like Lake Nona and Eagle Creek, everything that was on that little Narcoossee strip. So it was Laureate Park, Eagle Creek, Village Walk, Isles of Lake Nona. But we were trying to come down, everything would hop on and then hop right off. So we didn't really know. I knew that I just wanted to be zoned for the Lake Nona Middle School.
Gotcha.
And I was okay. Elementary school, I wasn't so worried about because the ones in that area all seemed to be good. But the Lake Nona Middle School was where I was trying to get my oldest in. And Laureate Park happened by sheer mistake. But we looked into Eagle Creek. We were actually, because it's so far different than anything in Boston, that we thought it was cool to have like a gated community.
Yeah.
A golf course in the community, right? Nothing that, but it didn't work out. And then though, it was actually a blessing in disguise because the Eagle Creek is no longer zoned for Lake Nona Middle School. So that would have been
disaster.
Yes. So, but we're in Laureate Park and my kids' input into the area was crucial for us. So we literally came. This is not even close to when we decided to move. We came, we walked around, we went into the supermarkets because I'm big on that. I was like,
Which one? You want Bravo?
I went into Bravo because I know Bravo from New York.
Really?
Because I was like, yeah, Bravo was in Brooklyn, and that's where I would go and do some shopping. Bravo is more expensive down here, but I
wouldn't think that though.
Exactly.
Right. Okay.
But I went into Bravo. I went into Publix. I literally had them because I was like, I want you to feel. And we did the same thing in Boston when we were buying our home in Boston. I was like, I want you to feel, what you would feel in this neighborhood.
A week in a life kind of thing. Yeah.
I was like, look at who's around you. These are the people that you're going to come across and see. And my kids were happy. And, had they said no, I would have definitely listened to them.
100%.
And that's how we got to Laureate Park. And I think Laureate Park is amazing in the sense that we are here and we don't have family or friends. So it's a community where you can make friends really quickly.
Really?
Yeah.
I wanted to ask about that, talk about that a little bit more, like finding community, finding friends. how difficult was or is that today for you?
So I would say for us, it was really welcoming in a way that I didn't imagine. I mean, everybody's waving down the street, even from their cars. It was just not something I expected because up north, we're known for walking the pavement and you look straight or you look down. We're not trying to look at one another. Yeah, no eye contact. That's not a thing. It's like, why are you looking at me? And here it's like I get my good mornings and I love that. I will say also Laureate Park, the homes are built really close to one another, which is good for some people, not great for others. 100%. I grew up in the city my whole life, tenement housing. So our houses were literally, they shared walls. So I didn't see that as a big deal.
As a big deal, okay.
I also saw it more as an opportunity, like I'm going to meet my neighbor instantly, right? Because we're so close to one another. Mm-hmm. And that's literally what happened. I mean, we moved in and we met our neighbors and it was great. I mean, my neighbors come over and ask me for a cup of sugar.
Really?
Exactly. Okay, that's what I thought. I was like, wow.
And that's not everywhere.
No, absolutely not.
It's not everywhere.
But I also love that in our community, the town center constantly is hosting events that other people not from the area also attend. So it gives me somewhere to go that's really close to home, especially having a big family. It's like we can feel like we went out, but really we're like
5 minutes up the street.
if not less. Man. So I love that. There's always something to do.
Mm-hmm. Well, what surprised you the most, other than the fact that the people were maybe welcoming to the area? Did anything else kind of caught you by surprise?
For me,
I
loved the representation. So it's a diverse community, and not just diverse racially, but it's also diverse in the sense of it's almost like a transplant community. Everybody's from
somewhere
over.
else.
Yeah, so I love that.
It's like that's Orlando almost as a whole.
It's like nobody. I guess it's differently. It's different in the sense that back home, you've been in your same house. It was your grandmother's house, and that's where you've been. It's generation through generation. And down here, I'm meeting people that literally just moved from Venezuela, or people, that they're like from Michigan, and here we are. So that's been amazing because I feel like we have friends from all over, but we're all in the same neighborhood.
That's awesome.
So that's been cool.
That's cool. I guess you've talked about the good parts, but what would you say are some of the cons that you found Orlando, and then maybe an extension of that Lake Nona as well?
The drivers here. It's just like, be careful, hold on to your children. It's just very different. And I assume that that's because it's a transplant community as well. Right, we have people that drive all over the world and then are transitioning here. Mm-hmm. So it's more of like being cautious as a pedestrian, as a parent. You want to make sure that just because it is a crosswalk, that people are actually stopping for you. That to me is huge. But I'd say also cons. I think these communities are beautiful, but they're being built so fast. That I will say that you want to keep an eye on your construction. I feel like. Because,
productive.
just like back in Boston, we have a certain, you want to be on top of your contractor. I would suggest the same here. You just want to be on top because it's happening so fast. You want to make sure that nothing is a mishap. But beyond that, I think I'm oddly really satisfied.
Oddly?
Yeah. I will say because... Oddly, because I tend to lean more towards pessimism than optimism as a human being. So, yeah, I really like where we are. I like the sereneness of the community. There's so many places to walk.
Yeah, one of my clients who also lives in Laureate, that's the first thing he pointed out when we toured us, how big the sidewalks were.
That's huge. We didn't have sidewalks.
I didn't even know that, yeah.
So I raised my family, my children, in Stoneham, and it's an old neighborhood. There was no sidewalks in most of the streets. Like, we had a sidewalk, but the houses behind me didn't. So it's like, if we wanted to make it walkable, I would, because of strollers and children, I would have to walk in the areas that had sidewalks. And here, the sidewalks, they're wide, but not just that. Like, there's pathways, and you can walk around the lakes. And I think being that we're in Orlando and you need a car for everything, because it's not like you're in the city, you're going to hop on the subway. Even though it is a city, it's a different type of city. Yeah. It's like, it's a wider city. I think I love the walkability of it. Like if I really wanted to walk from where I am to the town center, I can do that, or I can bike. And I wouldn't say that back in Boston where I was like, hey, I'm going to bike. Even though you could, for me, in the sense of safety, I wouldn't bike with my 6 kids, although we bike here with all 6 kids. So I like that.
That's a good point. Now, you touched on safety. As a mom of 6, like how important was that for you looking in? And did you look into anything in particular?
I did.
Okay.
So I am a mom of 6. I have 5 daughters, and the baby is my son.
Yeah.
So in the sense of safety, it was key to me because I believe in giving my children independence. Yeah. So if that means, hey, I want to bike to my friend's house, I want to be able to let them do that on their own. And I want to feel okay doing so. And I do here. I will say when we first moved into Laureate Park, I made sure to join the community page. I wanted just to see. I want to hear the flutter of what's happening. And, the complaints were pretty typical, right? People parking and not moving vehicles. It's more noise than anything to fear.
Gotcha.
And then, a couple of incidences of people entering homes during their construction phases, but that would happen. Okay. That would happen anywhere, right? It's an empty lot, an empty home, but nothing that I could say that would scare me.
Gotcha.
In the sense of the safety of my children, which is key.
100%.
My daughter didn't bike to school back in Boston, and she bikes to school on her own here. She comes and goes. She meets with friends. She does her thing. She bikes to tutoring. I mean, she's on her own schedule, which is great. I even let the 2 that precede her, they go out on bike rides on their own all the time. And it's not something that I'm fearing.
Right.
It's also a really tight community. So in the sense of, I feel like I have other mothers' eyes
like
out
a village
there.
kind of vibe.
Yeah, I feel that. People are quick to post if your kid was not behaving a certain way. Oh, absolutely. And a part of me was like, I mean, that could be seen as good or bad. But for me, I was raised with the concept where, like, if you see that my child is doing wrong, I know you're going to say something to them from a place that comes from care. So I'm okay with that.
What would you say you would have done differently, if anything, with the move?
I think our move was, I think fast. It felt fast in the sense that I gave birth and I was down here like 2 weeks later. But that's a product of my personality and who my husband and I are as a dynamic. I kind of figure out all my information, and then when I jump, I'm like, my net will appear.
So like the core things that you would like call it non-negotiables then.
Yeah, my non-negotiables were all there. So I felt safe with that regard. I'd say, I think in Laureate Park, the streets are, not all of them, the side streets are rather narrow.
Yeah.
So moving and not having family or friends was hard in the sense of, like, my husband had to unload that truck on his own. And he did it at night because he didn't want to take up space, because if he parks that big truck there, other cars can't fit because people park on both sides of the street. Even if you have a driveway in the back with your garage, it's minuscule. You can't really fit. You can't, park there. So I think really planning your move, planning for help. If that's hiring somebody local, that's great. Joining your community pages and asking for local help. I've noticed lots of people do that, and people are quick to volunteer, which I thought was really sweet.
Yeah.
So I would definitely plan the physical move a lot better. I think also school registration took us a lot longer than I thought it would.
Talk about that.
So school registration, I assumed would be quick and easy. Something like either I go to my local school and I apply, or I need to go to the local DOE office and do the paperwork. It took us almost like 3 weeks, because when we came, it was the week before Christmas. Waited for Christmas break to finish. And come January, there's a huge influx, at least in our schools, I don't know others, of international students that were coming, and the registrar said that this typically happens every January. I don't know if it's like a study abroad program or something that happens, but again, it was delaying our ability
to
get our kids in. But once we did register, I think it's learning that if you're coming from out of state, your vaccination forms need to be changed to a local doctor. That was something that I knew, but didn't really, I procrastinated it on because it made me nervous. I was like, I need to go to like urgent care and switch this documentation. So it's something that I delayed happening because it felt too multi-step and it just got me nervous. So again, it's just another step that you have to do to register. So it's accounting for your time, being able to do that, because we all know any urgent care, there's some weight involved.
Definitely. Especially in Lake Nona where there's like not a ton.
It's funny, right? It's medical city.
Medical city. It's just like you got the big hospitals.
I don't know why it's medical city.
What would you say other than that they need to work on?
I will say the town center, I love the town center in the sense of the events that they have, but there's so much available office or, different commercial space to lease. It's like an unfinished project. That is still
and it is really
an unfinished project. I do see some construction happening here or there, but I think especially for the people that have lived there longer, that were sold this dream, I'm sure they want to see it come to fruition.
100%.
Like, they were sold that it would be more commercial space, almost like a shopping center, maybe a bowling alley, maybe a movie theater.
A movie theater was actually planned.
And I know with COVID, things did change, which I understand. But I think we're at the point now in the economy where whoever is in charge of this commercial space should be out there and trying to bring anybody in. I think we would benefit from more restaurants, not chain restaurants, but,
Concepts.
local small-owned businesses, I think could flourish. Entertainment. The reality is there's not much family entertainment beyond golf that I can see. Yes, you can shop here and there, but there's not much shopping areas. There's a couple of boutiques that have sprung up that are amazing. But we can benefit just from more commercial space. Come to fruition, right? Let's turn that commercial space into something that's usable. Give families more entertainment. Teenagers need something to do. So if that's like a bowling alley, all that, give them something so that they can also enjoy the community as well beyond just enjoying the walking areas of it. I don't want them to get rid of the cows, though. The longhorns.
Really?
Oh, my God, I love them.
Oh, man.
I absolutely adore them. If we lose them,
they're all going
we will be heartbroken.
So weird if it stays like that
don't mess with my cows.
That'd be so weird.
But yeah, I would say outdoor, we have like art after dark. There's always outdoor vendors in the town center. So it's just fun to walk around. And then usually on Saturdays, they put out some outdoor games so that if you're with your family, at least the kids have something to do, which is great. I love Christmas there because Oh What Fun is definitely Oh What Fun.
With the shows and the
kind of stuff. Love it. I mean, we go multiple times just because it's down the street.
Yeah.
And the shows vary depending on the night. So my kids absolutely love it. We've gotten to see like their classmates sing in the town center, like do like Christmas caroling, and that's been fun too. Just the fact that it's like other people almost, I don't want to compare it to like a Faneuil Hall, but it's like other people come to visit. I love the boxy park concept, particularly for families, because it's like, hey, we have like a playground that's fenced in, which is key. It is key. We all, moms will understand when we have those runners. They cannot run away because it's fenced in. But you can still kind of feel like you can have a date night and the kids are with you, but everybody's entertained, right? We don't have to go to a formal sit-down restaurant where your kids are like, are we done yet?
Yeah, it's not as appealing to them.
Everybody can grab different type of food, whatever suits their mood for the day. You can grab a cocktail, your kids are playing, or, they have that volleyball sand area there. That's just cool because there's sand there. We also love Lake Nona Adventure Park.
Yeah.
We've gone a couple times to their inflatables. My kids thought that was amazing.
Do they actually try to do the water skiing?
We have not done that yet.
Okay.
We haven't braved that whole. That's been a little bit out of their comfort.
Yeah.
Because
I mean,
we used to only swim like 2 months a year, if that, you know what I mean? Because even then, you go to the beach, that water was cold. Like, it was not heating up, even though it was hot outside. So they haven't ventured to that, but just the inflatables on the water, they think is super fun. You know, and if they fall in, then it's fun. Yeah, it's a riot. But I just love that that's right there. So I think for me, having things be close and accessible, having so many kids is a huge benefit. I love looking at neighborhoods. My non-negotiables always are, I need to be close to a hospital. I need to be close to a pharmacy. I need to be close to a supermarket. And I want to make sure that I'm always, ideally, walking distance to their schools.
Gotcha.
Just so that if I don't want to drive, we can walk and make that kind of a fun connecting moment for us. And Laureate Park had all that for me, which I loved.
What would you say outside of the Lake Nona bubble, so to speak? Because I see you on your Instagram. You're traveling a lot, it seems like, to different areas and different parts of town.
So we are fortunate enough that through like the mom content that I create on Instagram, we'll get hosted places.
Nice.
So we've gone to Lake Mary recently, to Planet Obstacle.
Really?
Yeah. And Lake Mary, I mean, it's incredible to me how you can go from one community to the other and they vary so much. We like to venture and look for different parks for the kids and just to see what's out there.
What are some of your favorites so far, at least?
I'm horrible with names.
It's okay.
There's a place that I did a Mother's Day photo shoot. I can't remember, but it felt like I was in New Orleans. Just the type of trees and the moss around me. I confuse the winters. No, it's
winter?
It's one of the winters, but
it has to be either Winter Garden or Winter Park.
But you know how the one that's a little bit more upscale.
Winter Park.
Okay. I will say there's lots of places to adventure here. That obviously I can say that about anywhere, but I think because I'm from up north, it's such a stark difference that it does feel like an adventure to me versus like a quick weekend getaway, if that makes sense. You know, the wildlife here, like animals that I would go see at the zoo, like cross my front lawn.
We're actually talk about
I'm not even joking. Like these cranes, I would literally go to Stone Zoo and pay to go see these cranes behind a fence.
How about gators? I know that's like a typical
I've never
Florida
seen
thing.
one.
Really?
Oh my God, I'm on the hunt looking for one all the time because obviously what you get fed, what you get fed on the media and social media is that like they're everywhere, right? Mating season, you're going to find them like under your car. No, I have yet to see one.
That's crazy.
I am dying to see one. I've gone to Gatorland to see them on a school field trip, which I also think I think school field trips here.
Yeah. Great.
Yes.
Okay.
I've gone to Animal Kingdom. I've gone to Gatorland. We've gone to the Dr. Phillips Center to see shows. So I love that exposure. That's just been pretty cool.
Yeah.
You cannot compare your experience. It's apples and oranges. You just cannot compare your experience up north to down here. It's just different. It's like almost assuming like you're traveling to a completely different country. It's just the politics are different. The rental or buying process is different. So I think if you come with that knowledge, you shouldn't expect to kind of be let down. You have to be open to that different experience so that you don't set up your realtor to an expectation that they can't meet because it's honestly the laws are completely different.
Because we were talking before we started about like not having a lawyer, for example.
The real estate attorney, not a thing in here. I'd say if you're wanting to move from up north and you have the ability, right, to research your realtors, right? We have YouTube now. We have all these social media channels. I think definitely doing that. I think finding one that clicks with your personality is key. Don't go for the one that looks like they sell a house every single day. Not because they don't have it in them. That's phenomenal. But I think it is a major purchase. And you're entrusting somebody to be you because you are physically away.
Exactly.
So I think making sure that you click. So those, have an info meeting before. Talk on the phone, talk over Zoom, whatever. If you can take a quick flight and meet the realtor
100%.
And just meet the person prior to and making sure that they truly understand your non-negotiables and truly understand where you're coming from. versus trying to push, not so to speak, their own agenda, but push what they think.
Being a bit more transactional.
Yeah. I think is key. Like I told you earlier, you want to make sure you visit the grocery store. You visit, places that you're going to frequent and see if it matches your vibe.
Yeah.
Does this feel like home? I think that's important because it's such a big move. I also think you shouldn't be afraid to do it. I think oftentimes fear holds us back, right? You keep seeing other people kind of living their best life. You're like, oh, it's snowing here. Yeah, it's snowing here and there's palm trees that they're calling my name. Yeah, everything is still, obviously this depends on the community that you live in, right? Things are still expensive. So making sure that you have a job that can provide for your family to the level that you were living before so that you don't become resentful in your transition, I think is key. If you are a blue collar worker, I think the transition would be mind blowing. I'd almost tell you to stay in Boston, stay up north. I would, because the unions have strength up north and they get paid a livable, if not more than livable wage. Down here, that is not the case with your blue collar workers. And I will say that will flutter some feathers depending on
how they feel
your
about
politics.
It, I guess,
I'm married to a blue collar man. My kids know their dad by his bootstraps. Like, I don't have a suit and tie guy, and that's okay. My dad is also a blue collar man. And I do think he was able to be much more economically fruitful up north than he is down here. So it's been a transition, I think, more for him than for us. My daughters, I think for them it was beautiful because the schools were so diverse. Versus where we lived in Stoneham, it was a predominantly white neighborhood. We had the house, we had the picket fence, we had what I was told would be my American dream. Yeah. And then I got there and I was like, tough. I want representation. Yeah, I want representation. And now my daughters here have friends. They're on the honor roll. They are super happy. And to me, that's worth its weight in gold. So I wouldn't trade that for anything. And especially with my oldest. My oldest turns 13. And I think I saw the transition with her the most because she would be impacted the most. Yeah,
I guess. How was that for her in particular?
So I would say, all in all, we had a conversation with our children from the beginning to the end. I asked them prior to even thinking about selling our home, hey, would you guys consider doing this? I know not every family functions that way, but their input matters to me in the sense of this being their daily life because they're going to be the ones in school. They're the ones dealing with people every day. So we asked them and they were okay with it. We brought them to visit first a couple times. We showed them the community. We gave them tours around. I even took them outside of the schools and I said, this is where I would drop you off. We did the drop off circle when the school was closed.
Really?
And I was like, this is what we would do. And
like really simulating
Absolutely.
The lifestyle.
I wanted to make sure. And I was like, we took them to the playgrounds inside Lawyer Park. And I was like, how do you feel? All that mattered. And with my oldest, she was okay with the move, but she was the most nervous, which makes sense. I mean, she was anxious.
Friends and stuff.
Yeah. I mean, I plopped her out halfway through 6th grade. But yeah, for her, she was super nervous. But she made friends like that first day. And it took her so much longer to make friends in the community that she was raised in back home.
Really?
Yes. She's made some amazing bonds. And those kids come to my house and I already have 6, but then suddenly I'll have 8 and 10 children in my house. And I'm okay with that. So I do think, it's scary because you're like, hey, my kids already have friends and they kind of have their set routine. But we have a new routine now. Everybody's doing okay. I'd say they're probably a lot happier. I think the sun makes you a lot happier. Like, for real. There's
cold.
No seasonal depression. We're outside all year long and no, it's not like 100 degrees during
summer.
Christmas. Yeah, no, but I'm saying it's like everybody's like, well, I do miss the seasonal changes.
Gotcha.
But if you know me, I don't like to be cold. I'm so happy that we didn't let the fear of having 6 kids hold us back because at the same time, this has been a new adventure for me and my husband. And that's been fun just for our marriage too as well. I mean, my husband and I have been together for 25 years. Oh. So we've been together since we were kids, literally, right? Since I was in 8th grade. So it's been fun to add another adventure in.
Yeah.
Right? Something else into the books.
Well, with you and your husband, what are some of your maybe favorite spots that you guys have discovered along the way, whether it's restaurants or, I don't know, stroll out on the town, whatever you do?
So sadly, because we don't have like a built-in community, we don't really go out on our own. So we look for family spots.
Nice.
So we go out all together, and I'm okay with that. That's this phase of life that we're in.
Nice.
Him and we were together for ages prior to choosing to having children. So we love going to Drive Shack. We don't know how to golf to save our lives. Absolutely not. But we love going to Drive Shack because all the kids get a turn, and even though we don't know what we're doing, it's fun.
It's fun enough. Yeah,
it's fun. The kids are hitting the ball. And we left the house. And if I can have a cocktail and have my kids with me at the same time, I'm cool. I'm happy. We are Disney pass holders, but we just with the Pixie Pass. So we can't go on the weekends. We got the Pixie Pass.
I don't think you even want to.
I know, because of the crowds. I'm okay. Yeah. So we do like after school times. And I love that because I'm not in a rush. I'm like, if we get to it today, we get to it today. And if we don't, that's cool. See you next
week.
time.
Yeah.
I love that. We go to Disney Springs, believe it or not. And I love anywhere that I can go and grab a snack and walk around. I don't want to feel like we're tied to a table because of the kids.
Okay.
Right? I don't want to we've done sit downs. We've spent like Christmas at Canvas because it was just us. And I was like, I refuse to be home alone. I think going out is important. Do not get stuck in your home. Yeah. It's like the comfort of your new home.
It's easy to do, especially in a new area.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm like, I was so in love with the fact that I had like tile in my bathroom because my house was from 1900 back in Stoneham. Like, we did not have tile. We had those plastic inserts.
Like the, yeah.
That's just what it was. And like, we hadn't renovated it. It was fine. We had renovated so many other parts of it. So like the newness of the home, I was like, when I told my dad my house is like, 5 years old, it's like, that's brand new. It's just brand new. It's just a different
Here,
concept.
it's like anything beyond 2000s is like...
Yeah. Like, we're always so afraid of like, I really want to do this next year. Man, life clock does not stop. It does not stop. And we are getting older every year. And just, you can't let fear stop you. You kind of just have to jump and know that it's going to be okay. And it may not be okay the entire time. That's life. Ups and downs.
And that's going to be anywhere.
Yeah, absolutely. Ups and downs. All of that is part of the experience. So I will stress the fact that you need to connect with a realtor that you vibe with. You want to make sure that personalities mesh. You want to make sure that somebody understands your needs, wants, and your wishes. To heart, and your wishes, because let's be for real, we're all wishing for something amazing, even though our pocket may not stretch that far. But
what they say, champagne tastes with a beer budget or something.
That's right. You know what I mean? But sometimes you can get some of those bubbles in.
Exactly. There we go.
But yeah, it's like, maybe I don't have a pool in my home, but maybe my community pool is amazing. So it's like, you need to come to terms with what you can get, especially coming from up north. For me, I wasn't like, when I first started doing my research, I wasn't like, I need to live in this area. My stress was like, I need these schools to have these things for me. And it's like, make sure that person understands. So if that's the schools, if that's the type of house you want, or the type of community. Because for me, it was also big. Like, I want a community where people are looking to make friends. Yes, that was on the list. And because Laureate Park is such a social community, it's definitely a place where people are wanting to make friends. So that was on my list, and it's something that made sense for me.
Anything else for the lovely folks?
No, I think just go for it.
Go for it.
Yeah, go for it. Don't let nothing hold you back. If you want to move. There's plenty of homes here. Don't shy away from new construction. I know it's scary. It's something that we still think about and want. But I'm scared myself just because I'm like, I have no experience with that whatsoever. But no, I think, honestly, if you have children, have the conversations. Come visit the schools. people are really welcoming and willing to talk, I found in my experience. I think it was easier even to make friends here than it was
Boston.
back up north. Yeah. So I think the information is there. So anything that you are kind of inquisitive about that will impact your family, reach out to all these, like use Facebook. There's all these online community groups. Yeah, it's incredible. I mean, the amount of information that people are willing to also, I mean, you're going to get your negative information too. People saying, don't move here. We're overcrowded.
Yeah. How do you feel about those comments as somebody that recently moved yourself? Did it deter you at all? Made you feel a certain way?
I think that's the Florida that I was expecting. That's the Florida that was fed to me. Right. But it's funny, I have yet to meet one of those people in real
person,
life.
Right?
Yeah, they're like online trolls.
Gosh.
I've never met them in real life, and if I have met them, they did not have
that same.
Yeah, they didn't have the courage to say that, out loud.
Yeah.
There's so much wealth of information that you can find, so that you can feel like you've made a sound decision on those groups. I think take advantage of that, because that's something that we couldn't do 20 years ago, right? So take advantage of that. Get that information. But don't hold back. Make the move.
Makes sense.
Yeah. I would do it all over again.